Side of the Civil War coming up on Friday. Can the Beavers pull off an upset like they nearly did 2 years ago and like they did in double overtime back in 2007? Kickoff coming up in less than 2 days, and we'll have the game all covered for you coming up right now on hashtag Beavers Football. Glad you're with us on Thanksgiving Eve for hashtag Beavers Football. It is Civil War week, and we come to you live from downtown Portland, as always, at Blitz Lad in Southeast to talk about the game. With me, Nigel Burton and Slade Norris, and they're saying, upset in 2007, but it was a thriller, double overtime,
I'll
right?
take thriller. I'm not taking upset.
I believe we were favored in that game.
If we weren't, I know we felt like we were. Upset. It was like, upset? Come
What are
on.
you talking about it? These guys were part of that game. It was a fun one. I remember being there for that one. Well, big news really out of Corvallis this week. We had learned today who will be starting at quarterback, which we'll talk about a little later in the show, which was a surprise to some. And earlier this week, we learned who will not be starting at quarterback. Seth Collins is back for the rivalry game, but he will be not be taking the snaps. Little surprise, he'll be on the field in a different position. What do you guys think about Seth Collins as a wide receiver?
I love it. I mean, it shows him being a team player, first off. He wants to play quarterback. I know that. I know he thinks himself as a quarterback, but he knows that right now he can help his team being a wide receiver. So I'm excited to see how we use him. The best athlete out there on our team is on the field now.
I mean, with the guys that you have right now eligible to play quarterback, he is the best quarterback. I mean, you look at his numbers, it's not close. He's the best. It's 107.4 is his efficiency. Mitchell is 89, McMarion's 78. Completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, yards per game. Everything in terms of quarterback play, Seth Collins has the advantage. It's not close. However, he can't throw right now. So if this is the only way that he can be a factor in the game, then obviously kudos to him. The question is going to be what happens down the road when spring ball rolls around and you know who shows up, Darryl Garretson.
Yeah, he's one of those guys when you have an athlete like that, it's hard not to put him on the field somewhere.
Right. Absolutely. And you have to. I mean, he's the most explosive guy. And I know Paul Lucas might be the fastest guy, but he's the most explosive player that the Beavers have. And if he can, at this point, if he could just tie his shoes and walk, I'd figure out some way to put him on the field, even if it's just as a decoy.
You were just saying earlier, he's our leading rusher. Hasn't even played every game for us.
Yeah.
I mean, how
7
could you not
games
have
he's
that
played in,
person
and he's leading
on
the
field?
team. Yeah, I mean, that's nuts.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Seth Collins talked about it today. He was asked what the toughest part is about transitioning from quarterback to receiver.
I've just been trying to take it day by day. I just want to go out there, help my team this week, get a win. So at the end of the day, I just want to help my team. So.
Has it been fun, catching the ball? Obviously, throwing the ball usually, but has it been fun?
Yeah, football's fun to me. I love football, so I love football. Anything I do, I try to do it, give it my all. So
I think everything that we're all impressed with is your athleticism. Do you feel like you get to use your athleticism even more so at this position?
No, I don't think I get to use it even more so, but it's just a different position. I just got to use a lot of my talents like I did before. Right now, I'm just out here trying to help my team out. So the future's, I don't know the future. So as of now, I'm trying to help my team out win a game this week. So.
You can see him saying he doesn't know what his future is. Well, Steve writes in or tweets in a question for OSU fans. You consider Seth Collins a quarterback of the future, a wide receiver, or likely to transfer for 3 years to be a quarterback somewhere else?
It's all going to be on him.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
He knows that there's going to be a stiff competition with Garretson coming in. Garretson knows the system. I mean, he played with McGivens over there. He was his O coordinator. And the kid's got talent. We'll talk about him later. But as far as Seth, he could do great things at Oregon State. I mean, as athletic as he is, getting the ball in his hands right now, just use him on bubble screens. And I guarantee you, this next game, you will still see him throw the ball. They're going to run something like that and get the ball in his hands and have him throw it to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, the idea that he can be a bigger factor athletically at receiver is kind of a joke because the quarterback is important for one reason. He touches the ball every single play. Receivers don't do that. So obviously he can make a bigger impact at quarterback. I'm not going to necessarily say that Garrettson's going to win that job hands down because you never know. And I think he has to really work on the one thing that quarterbacks have to have, his accuracy. But in terms of his explosiveness running the football, he's going to be better than him. in terms of knowledge and understanding of the guys that they have on a team, how it works at Oregon State. This isn't Utah State, so it's going to work differently, and he's going to have that advantage. So I'm not conceding the fact that he's going to lose that job. The guys who should probably consider transferring if they want to continue to play quarterback would be McMarion and Mitchell. It's not going to be Seth Collins. If Seth leaves, I think that would be an absolute travesty. It'd be a travesty to himself, and really, how much do you love your team, your program, and do you believe in yourself? And even if he loses the job, look what happened down the street in Eugene. I mean, any team that's ever made a run has at some point probably relied on their backup quarterback. Heck, Baylor's on their third quarterback.
Look at me when I was playing, Lyle and Sean.
Yeah,
they were in the field both times.
It doesn't matter where you are. I mean, when I was a player at Washington, Shane Fortney bails, leaves us. Brock Huard goes down in the biggest game of the year. In walks a kid named Marcus Tuiasosopo, who ends up blowing up and being a guy. So even if you don't win the job, it doesn't mean it's over for you, and you never know what could happen. Shoot, I coached Colin Kaepernick at Nevada. He steps in for some guy, Alex Smith, and bam, he becomes a starter. So to say that I don't win it in camp, that I'm done, no way.
Look what's happened at Oregon State, now starting their third freshman quarterback this season. So we'll see. There's always chances there. You never know when your turn's going to come, right? Got to be ready for it. All right. Still to come in the show a little bit later on, we will talk about Oregon's defense and some changes this season as the season has gone along. And also the Ducks coach, given his Oregon ties, has asked who his favorite Oregon State player was growing up. And guess what? It wasn't a player.
Like sacrilegious at some level, but Ralph Miller, just watching Ralph Miller, that was always entertaining. Why? He was entertaining. Anytime you can smoke cigarettes on the sideline and do what they did, that was always good stuff. And he yelled at a good friend of mine at the basketball camp one time. Chicken wing Paul.
To goal. On the stretch to the left, and he's in. Touchdown.
Game 2 years ago, that was the best game I ever played in, even though we lost. It was still a tough game. It's still a robbery. Last year didn't go as well as we would hope, but it's a new year this year. Everything's behind us. It's just great to be in a rivalry that means so much to the state of Oregon. We don't have a professional football team, so it's sort of like we're the team, and the rivalry just beautiful.
To be honest, you got to give that to them. They won 7. The rivalries, they're dominated, but at the same time, it's a new era. All that's going. That's under Coach Riley. This is Coach Anderson. So his record versus Oregon is 0-0. So we'll start from there.
A fresh start for Oregon State under a new coach this year, but the Ducks come in riding a 7-game win streak, one more win, and they would match their longest winning streak, the longest streak for either side, 8 wins. And you can see those streak years in the 60s, early 70s for the Beavers, and the 70s to early 80s for the Ducks. It's been a while. That 07 game seems like yesterday to me, when the Beavers won at Austin Stadium. I'm sure you too, right? Matt Severson, who is on this show frequently, was the big star of that game. Of course, the Oregon boy, 142 yards, 27 carries, and I like what Nigel said. Well, tell us a story about when you knew Matt was.
There's the end of the game right there. That's how we won it.
Double overtime win.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember going. We knew Ev was down, and we were so banged up. Clinton Polk was hurt. And it was one of those, wait, who's starting at running back? Wait, Severson? Like, yes, are we just going to just throw the towel in? Or are we going to show up, or what's the deal? And he breaks off a 38-yarder on the second play, and it was like, hey, he's not bad.
Hold on, keep that graphic up real quick, because then 2008, Slade remembers crying, being very upset after that game. I remember that was a heartbreaker. Oregon State would have won the conference.
I cried. I wasn't even at Oregon State.
I had to go through and talk to the media after the game, and I was really trying to hold back tears. Not just because we lost, but that was really Oregon State's first real chance to go to the Rose Bowl in so long, and I felt like we let so many fans down. That broke my heart.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually called Bob DeCarolis, and I was like, hey, look, so I was the D coordinator in Nevada by then, and I said, Bob, hold a ticket for me, or can I get a sideline pass? And Bob was like, yeah, I got you. Bobby D said, hey, I got you. I was like, look, I'm going to make my ticket on Sunday morning. We were playing at Louisiana Tech. It was actually, I think it was the week that my wife said she was pregnant again. I'm excited about that. We win our game at Louisiana Tech. I get on the plane. We have the little TVs, and it was like I got stabbed in the heart watching, what was happening. And it was hard to watch. But let's talk about 07, because that was way better.
Yeah, that was fantastic. The double overtime, that was a lot of fun.
The biggest thing about that game, though, is, in my opinion, I think we were the much better team at that point in the season with all the injuries that the Oregon had and everything. And it still took us into double overtime to win. We had 3 field goals, well, 1 blocked, 2 field goals missed during that game. The first field goal Alexis hit was in overtime to put it into the double overtime. There was a fumble return for a touchdown, an interception return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, anything happens in these Civil War games, and so that's why Oregon State can still. I mean, anything can happen. Oregon State can still win one of these games if they have some luck on their side.
Look at 2 years ago. I remember Oregon was ranked number 12. Everybody thought Oregon State was going to go into Autzen Stadium and just get destroyed, and the Ducks had to score a touchdown in the final seconds to win by a point. It was a great, great game.
Yeah, you never know what could happen. And ultimately, you know, I go back to 07. I think the difference between back then and now is I remember us going on the field not feeling like they could out-athlete us. We had athletes. We had guys on the field that could match up with anybody they had. There was nobody that was scary that I remember. And we had confidence going in that game.
Well, that guy was hurt that game.
You know, well, right now, I don't know if the Beavers can say that, well, they can't out-athlete us right now. And I have faith that, you know, Gary Anderson's going to be able to get some guys running around there. And Seth is kind of one of those guys that starts that process. But, you know, once again, never know.
All right. Well, Oregon coach Mark Helfrich was asked this week about heading into an old rivalry with new coaches on Oregon State sideline.
And there's a lot of familiarity of their staff, even with you know, Coach Anderson being new, kind of the sort of Utah component with Coach Sataki and their defense, Coach Baldwin and their offense. You know, there's enough familiarity of kind of that from a schematic standpoint that we know about. But you know, with Gary Campbell and Steve Greatwood and some of these other guys that have had 35 plus Civil Wars or something like that there, you know, there's been a few other guys on that sideline. And so again, you're so much more concerned with what you're doing, you know, not so much who's on their sideline, who's between the white lines. That's more of a concern.
And the last couple of games, Oregon's been holding all their opponents under their season averages, which is a little bit scary because Oregon State season average is they need to up that to have a chance in this game, definitely.
I mean, they've been playing well down the stretch, and good for them. And to be honest with you, it's also attributed to how potent their offense has been. It's a lot better. It's a lot easier to play good defense when your offense is playing as well as they are in a way that they're clicking, converting on 3rd and 4th downs, things that they're doing now that they weren't doing earlier on. And Stanford, let's be honest, they self-destructed in that game. I mean, 2 fumbles.
And it wasn't 2 fumbles that Oregon caused. Hogan just dropped them.
Yeah, 2 fumbled snaps. I mean, when's the last time? I mean, David Shaw must have been scratching his head like, seriously, this is the way I'm going to lose this game, is fumbled snaps. And so, you know, they've been playing well, but, you know, once again, it's any given Saturday. It doesn't, you know, you're not playing every day.
Well, the other thing, too, I mean, we saw earlier season when Vernon Adams was hurt, and I'm not saying you never want to wish injury on anyone, but you never know when someone could go down. They were a completely different team when he wasn't in playing quarterback. I know that was earlier in the season, but.
Yeah. That's like a voodoo hex. I don't know.
I'm just
Even with him down right now, though, and with the way our run defense has gone, Royce Freeman, I think, is our #1 threat. And we'll talk about that later. But we have got to stop him because if we don't, I mean, look at the Cal game. I think he had like 60
billion
rushes
yards
or something. I mean, that guy, they will run the ball until you stop it.
Right. No doubt.
I'm not setting him up. I'm just saying we learned how important he is to that team earlier this year. Well, we were just alluding to him, but coming up next, we will dive into Vernon Adams and why he is still giving some Oregon State players nightmares heading into the Civil War. We talked about Vernon Adams a little bit in the show already. I still have visions of I think it was August 31st, 2013, and watching Oregon State and Washington State and thinking, who the heck is this guy? I'd never even heard of him before.
So they had that was like the alumni game. So they had all of us up there sitting in the Valley Center. The windows were open. It was the first Oregon State game I took my girlfriend to, and I'm like, okay, this is my team. These are my boys. Come watch them go off on Eastern. Yeah, it didn't happen that way.
Well, you may not have heard of him, but I knew him all back in the day. So, you know, we've actually have had a great relationship. It's really cool. Matter of fact, it was funny. What was it? A couple weeks ago, we were doing this show, and Vernon texted me while we were doing the show, like, "Hey, thanks for saying some good stuff about me." Well, here's the thing.
So we learned that he watches hashtag.
He watches hashtag Beavers. I don't know if he watches hashtag Ducks, but he watches hashtag Beavers. I mean, that was his coming out party because really, as a redshirt redshirt freshman, he wasn't the full-time starter at Eastern Washington. So he shared time and went back and forth, and his first big stage game was their playoff game. They lost. He played well, but they lost. And so to see him come back against Oregon State and lead them and play the way that he did, and really I emphasize the way he led that football team, is what then started to separate. People were like, holy smokes. And there's a play I remember it was on the Eastern Washington sideline. It was a 3rd or 4th down. He's being drugged down for basically a sack, and he flipped that ball out to the sideline, and it was about a 15 to 20-yard throw while he's being drugged by one leg, and it was amazing. And then to see against Michigan State, he really did the same thing with his left hand. You started to see what he was going to be.
518 total yards of offense by him to set a stadium record that day.
6 touchdowns.
Well, don't feel bad, because they actually broke down his Pac-10. If you focus on his Pac-12 games, he has had 32 touchdowns and 4 interceptions over his course of his time from Eastern Washington and Oregon. It wasn't just the beefs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that paid the price.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, Levante Barnett was asked this week about facing Vernon Adams.
He's just an amazing player. His ability to move around in the pocket and outside the pocket and still be able to complete passes down the field is something that is unique. And, we have to be able to focus on that and be able to contain him inside the pocket and hold our coverage downfield. So we can either force bad throws, force short throws, or be able to sack him. So we're looking forward to the challenge.
You say you remember that whole game. So was there a moment that he made one of those crazy plays that you were like, whoa, who's this guy from Eastern?
A lot of moments. I remember one in particular. I was coming off the edge, and I was right there. And then the next thing you know, he's outside. So, just little things like that. I was supposed to have contained. So, I remember that in particular. I got yelled at when I got on the sideline. So, it's just like I said, it's just plays like that. Just the little things and being able to move around, buy the extra time. And he beat us on a play like that. So, there was a lot of plays in those games. But I'm more focused on the task at hand and beating the Ducks.
And that was our Toyota interview. Toyota Let's Go Places. Adam Splitter. I like that Twitter handle. That's a good one. Tweets in, what can the Beavers do to stop Vernon Adams? Stop might not be the right verb.
Slow him. Try.
Yeah. So
slow down.
Gotta keep him in the pocket.
Well, you used to be able to say that. You can't really say that anymore. The one thing that I give Vernon that's really impressed me over his career is his ability to improve more than anything else. He's done stuff like this throughout his career, but he was not the most accurate guy as a freshman, and he became more accurate. The way to beat him in the past was to keep him in the pocket. And now you watch him at Oregon, he's sitting in the pocket, absolutely picking people apart. Then he leaves the pocket, and he still has the ability to improvise and create that I've never really seen before at
Look
the
at
Division
those
I level.
numbers in November. That's incredible.
Yeah, so saying, keep him in the pocket isn't really to an advantage. If you watch USC, they kept him in the pocket, and all he did was shred them for 400 yards, 6 touchdowns. He had more touchdowns than incompletions against USC.
In that game, he's the first player to ever throw for 6 against USC, ever.
Ever. So, you do. Keeping him in the pocket will help, but I really think taking away his run game would be the one thing that would help you the most, and then keeping in the pocket, because then you can tee off a little bit. And it doesn't matter how good you are or whatever. If you can bring some heat from different angles and some line stunts that confuses the offensive line, that gives you a much better chance. But you're going to have to really bring in extra, but that also puts your secondary in a little bit
That's
hurt.
the thing with Oregon State right now and their tackling. As soon as they get in the backfield, a tackle isn't guaranteed, especially with him. And he's so talented the way. I've been really impressed with how he's always looking downfield when the rush is coming. I mean, his head never goes down. He's always still looking up. And then, like you said, he improved in his accuracy. He can hit guys in the run 30 yards downfield. I mean, he's...
You guys are depressing
Coach.
me.
No, I'm not stupid. There's a reason I offered the guy out of high school. Everybody else was dumb. Me and Bo. That's it. But hey, whatever.
Well, next we are going to turn to the big news out of Corvallis today, and that is who will be starting the game for the Beavers come Friday. We'll have that all next. The big news out of Corvallis today was the announcement of Oregon State's starting quarterback for the game. It will be Marcus McMaryion, as the Beavers will start their third freshman quarterback. Of course, he has played, but he has not yet started a game this season. And today, offensive coordinator Dave Baldwin was asked about his quarterback strategy for the Civil War.
Marcus will play. If he plays well in the first quarter, he's got the second quarter. If he doesn't, we're going to have to make a switch. You're going to have to play well at that position, and we have not played well at that position the last 2 weeks. So,
what did Marcus do this week to get named the starter?
Well, what he did in the game. He came in, and I thought he played well in the game, and so he deserves another shot. He came in, and he gave us an opportunity with a couple throws, moved the ball a couple times, and so we're going to give him that opportunity.
How's that for having a short leash put on your pregame?
That's some pressure.
Woo! Hey, Mom, make sure you watch just the beginning of it. Never know
He will
what
start,
happen
and if he plays well, he will continue to play, and if he doesn't, he will not.
Yeah. Well, there's some good and bad things to all this, right? The good part is you can see that within Gary Anderson's system, that if you don't win the job coming out of fall camp, whatever position you play, that you can earn your way onto the field if you continue to practice and play well, as opposed to a lot of programs where once the job is decided in fall camp, just, pack your bags and you can sit on the sidelines. So that's a good thing. I don't know how I feel about the short leash. I think you got to allow people to be able to make mistakes and feel comfortable that, hey, if I mess something up, I'm not going to get yanked. So hopefully that was just a little quick for the media.
If you have that mindset, don't put it out there.
Like I said, I'm hoping that little thing was for the media and that the kid understands, hey, just go do your thing and don't worry about it, right?
I completely agree with you, yeah.
All right, well, this week we saw a little bit from the quarterback that people think may be playing next year. Wade Anderson tweets in, is the Beavers quarterback of the future Darryl Garretson? And, of course, this is the transfer from Utah State, who has played 2 years already, redshirting. He's been leading the scout team. And a lot of people high on him for the future.
He's a great talent. Over at Utah State, obviously the connection there was Coach McGiven. He was his O coordinator and quarterback coach there. They ran a very similar offense, so coming into Oregon State was real easy for him to translate into our offense there. And he did real well as a freshman. Won 5 games, was 6 for 1. They beat, who was it, in the Poinsettia Bowl. He had a good game there against Northern Illinois, a good Northern Illinois team, and played behind Chucky Keaton. Chucky Keaton got hurt both his first 2 years, so as he came in as a sophomore, he started 5 games. Once Keaton went down again, they were 3-2. They beat some good teams. I mean, BYU, Wake Forest. These weren't just trash teams.
But I mean, you've seen him in practice, right?
I have. And
what do you think of him in practice?
I think he's got a great arm. I don't think that he's anywhere close to Seth's athletic ability, but he's got good enough ability to where he can be a threat out there. He's 6 feet tall and looks like he's the kind of kid that's going to come around and mow your lawn. So looking at him, you wouldn't think anything. But I honestly think he's a real cerebral player. I know on the sideline this year, he's out there trying to help our quarterback, saying, hey, you got this coverage. You see this. This is the route you got to look for. So he's already kind of assumed that leadership role with our young quarterbacks this year.
I've only been to one practice, and I was back in fall camp. And the thing that I noticed about him versus everybody else, the lack of accuracy of the other quarterbacks, all 3 of them really. And Seth was just kind of coming into his own. And I actually think he's done a decent job this year when he was healthy. The accuracy was a bad deal. Watching him, he was the only guy, in my opinion, that had Pac-12 accuracy. He was able to put the ball where you wanted. And some of it was just warm-ups. He needed to get a ton of reps. He was doing drill work.
Let me correct myself real fast. When I said great arm, that is what I meant. I loved his accuracy. Right. Deep throws, I'm not too sure about, but the accuracy is what I love. So.
Yeah, that was the difference that I saw. And so if he has an understanding of the offense, he just has enough legs to threaten, and he can place the ball where it needs to be placed, that would be an improvement, no doubt.
What I really love, though, about him is he left a scholarship at Utah State to come walk on at Oregon State. He doesn't have a scholarship right now. And so that really shows this is where he wants to be, and he wants to fight for a spot. Yeah. No, they feed him now. They feed him now.
It's top ramen. Pop-Tarts.
But no, I love that about that kid because it shows that he really wants to be here and wants to play.
I'm sorry.
Wants to earn that
I hear
spot.
that stuff. I go back to the Cosby Show. Like, I can live on bologna and cereal.
All right, coming up next, we're going to turn our
They
attention
did more of that
to
at UW.
another
I know that.
scary player wearing a Ducks uniform. Hey, in Burton's Breakdown, Nigel is going to tell us how the Beavers can stop Royce Freeman in his tracks.
I
Right,
didn't say
Nigel?
stop. Talk him up.
And they send Royce Freeman into the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon.
As a true freshman, you don't expect somebody to come in like that, looking almost like a senior.
Freeman finds his way nicely into the end zone.
He's a load. I mean, that guy is a tremendous back. He's only going to be a sophomore, obviously. Very physical runner.
He's a bowling ball. He's a big dude. People that tackle him, man, it's like tackling a Mack truck.
Freeman takes it in for the touchdown.
He's a combination of size and speed. He finishes runs incredibly well, but when he gets into open spaces, he can make people miss. I mean, he's a very versatile running back, hard guy to bring down, and probably finishes as well as anybody.
Here's Freeman just dancing into the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon.
Complete stallion. I love him. I have great respect for what he did as a freshman. I think he's going to get better and better. I think he's got big-time ability. I think we'll be watching him on Sundays someday. I don't like playing against him, but I love watching him play.
The handoff comes to Freeman, and he's in the end zone. Royce Freeman.
Mack truck coming at you. I like that comparison there. Oh, boy, what a back. 12 rushing touchdowns, ranking first in the Pac-12 in yardage. He's second, having himself a season.
He's pretty incredible. I mean, the amount of strength you can fit into that short body is scary. But no, I mean, he's only had, I think, 3 games this year where he hasn't gotten over 6 yards a carry. What he can do in the backfield between strength and then the surprising agility with his weight, it's dangerous. And so watching a guy like that run against this defense could be a long day for the Beavs.
Well, here's the scary part. He's only 7 yards behind a guy who's going to be up for the Heisman, Christian McCaffrey. 7 yards in terms of total rush yards. He has 30 less carries than Christian McCaffrey, and he's only 7 yards behind him. So how he's not being talked about for the Doak Walker and all those other, it makes no sense.
Yep.
So
His build, I mean, his legs, he's just big. He's a big guy. I'd be scared if he were coming at me.
No arm tackling this week, guys.
Oh, my goodness. All right, well, it is time for Burton's Breakdown, brought to you by Standard TV and Appliance, setting the standard since 1947, and how we're going to stop him.
Well, first, let's start with this. If I knew how to stop Royce Freeman, I would not be sitting next to Katie and Slade. Still be coaching. I'd be making way more money than I'm making working tonight. However, there are some things that you can do to slow down this offense. And to be honest with you, the easiest thing you can do is look at what Utah did against the Ducks earlier this season. Let's go to the InFocus Mondo Pad, collaboration that works, see exactly what we're talking about. Now, earlier in the year, some things that Utah did, same exact defense, they really want to play a version of cover 1, but you cannot play cover 1 versus a read zone team for one reason. If you're playing cover 1 meaning you have a free safety playing in the post, that is your extra guy. The problem is he's 12 to 15 yards down the field. He's not making any tackles. So you want to play more quarters. So here, Utah is actually playing a quarters defense. The way Oregon will counter is by going 3-by-1, because what they want to do is remove the outside backer. But Utah counters back. So it's all just a chess game here. They counter back by using what's called special. All right? And basically what they're going to do is play 2-on-2 football with their safeties and the slot. They're going to man the outside wide receiver because this guy only has about 10% of the catches. So let that happen. And what it allows is for you to move your linebacker back into the box, and now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 versus 6 offensive linemen and a read zone possibility. So you're absolutely saying we're going to take away the run in this scenario. What the end result, you have a 2-on-1 tackle, which is how you have to take on a guy like Royce Freeman. Now, if you're playing a little bit of quarters and you're playing a little bit of cover 1, the next thing you do is you just sell the farm. You bring 6 in, play cover 0, everybody man-to-man. So here, outside receiver, man-to-man, slot, man-to-man, outside, man-to-man, safeties roll down, man-to-man on the wing, and they're going to bring both backers into the B gaps. The safety is responsible for the running back, also man-to-man. Now, the reason that they ended up putting both guys into the B gaps, so they didn't have to worry about trying to chase this running back if he were to flip sides, Slade, like we talked about in the past. So, once again, they don't want to change anybody's responsibility. The only thing that's a little hairy about doing this is if this safety's wrong and overruns the play, Royce ends up hitting his head on the goalpost. Lucky for them, the defensive end does a nice job collapsing back in. And though they get the first down, it's only a 2-yard gain for the Ducks. If you can hold Royce Freeman to 2-yard chunks, 3-yard chunks, trust me, count that a victory. Actually do a victory lap and give yourself some pom-poms because this guy is unbelievable running back. But if the Beavers can mix a little bit of quarters, a little bit of cover 0, and a little bit of cover 1 to be able to mix things up and keep them off balance, I think they got a great chance to slow down Royce Freeman and the Ducks offense.
I love the quarters and the special because selling the farm with Royce Freeman back there scares me. Putting the safety one-on-one tackle in Royce Freeman, he has to break one tackle and he's gone.
I mean, that's the thing about coaching too, is it's all about kind of who has the pin last, and you have to. It's just that's why I always call it a chess game. The guys who are really good at chess not only are good at what they do and knowing what their move is, but then anticipate the move of your opponent. And so that's where you start to throw in things to say, okay, if you're going to remove my backer and try to have a less number of guys in the box, how can I counter and get those guys back into the box? And Utah did a great job, and I guarantee Kyle Whittingham, Kalani Sitake, and Gary Anderson had long conversations about what did you do and how can we make sure that we do anything we can to slow this down.
All right, well, it is time to talk about Royce against Oregon State history. And if you look at the top backs of the Beavers era, or their leading rushers here, where do you think he fits? Of course, we have Ken Simonton on top there, Jaquiz Rogers, Evanson Bernard, Steven Jackson, and Storm Woods. They're all-time leading rushers.
So you were there before me, so you had Stevie J for a year.
Oh, did I? Yeah.
I'll let you talk about him because, in my opinion, he's number one.
Yeah, that's not in any order. I mean, consider the fact Steven Jackson was only here for 3 years. So had he played a fourth, he would be number one in total yards. He was by far the most talented back I've ever seen in my life. He looked like a defensive lineman. Quiz to me is number 2.
He was only there 3 years too.
Yeah,
a boy right there.
I think Quiz was number 2 because of his blend of not just power and speed and shiftiness, and he was tough. All those things that you're seeing in the NFL now.
Looking like a little helmet running around.
Yeah, right? I was like, geez, this guy's got an XL helmet and, small pants.
Had to put the dreads in.
Anyway, so, yeah, he'd be number 2. I think Royce would probably tie with Quiz at number 2. Nobody was like Steven Jackson. I mean, his size, speed, strength, he wasn't human. He was smart. He was tough. I mean,
he had great hair.
And he
I
had
remember
awesome
Steven Jackson
hair.
coming into one of our practices back one of my early years, and he was wearing this bright pink polo shirt, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what defensive tackle has come from the NFL to watch us? And no, that's Steven Jackson.
Yeah. First time when I had keys to the football facility, and Steven walked up to my car, my buddy that played with me in Washington. So Steven's like, hey, do you got keys to this? I was like, I don't have them. He's like, yeah, who was that? Is that your DN? I go, no, dude, that's our starting running back. He was like, what? Yeah. Oregon State's, it's not the old Oregon State, buddy. We're pretty good. So, anyway.
All right, well, it is time for you to win prizes by contributing to content on the CSN website. It's the CSN Fan Zone, our fan rewards program. To get started, go to csnnw.com/fan zone. You earn points for all different types of actions and engagement with online content, and lots of prizes to be won, from iTunes gift card to Amazon cards, Spotify. So go on and cash in on the prizes. All right, still ahead, we will take a look at Oregon State's red zone defense and, well, how it has changed over the months. All right, Oregon's red zone defense. Take a look at this in September, giving up touchdowns in the red zone 81% of the time to their opponents. They have improved, though, each month, and that number is down to just under 54%.
Until this game.
Do we want some more touchdowns? That you had me. Like, I was like, wow, we're actually proud of Slade.
81%.
He's got normal pants on. And then you started making jokes as bad as that sweater you were wearing.
I like the Nutcracker. I wanted to feature it.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
DeForest Buckner.
Yeah.
DeForest Buckner.
Mm-hmm. He's good.
He's good.
You know what? With him, with all his sacks, 8.5 sacks, 14.5 tackles for loss.
Whatever.
Third, 12, second in the Pac-12.
What really impressed me was, as a D lineman, he has 69 tackles.
Yes.
I mean, for me, I think I finished my senior year with 57, and I worked my butt off.
And you went
this guy is all over the field.
Yeah, in 11 games. And then he's second on his team in tackles from the D-line.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's ridiculous.
Eric Armstead had 4 in his entire college career, Jared Sanger points out on Twitter.
Yeah, that's more of a what's the word I'm looking for? That is as great as that is for DeForest Buckner. That's also just a condemnation of the 49ers for taking Eric Armstead as a first-round.
That's your team, too, Coach.
Yeah,
Come on.
I'm a Niner fan. I was like, listen, Eric Armstead, he's a Sacramento guy, good, but oh, come on, man. I mean, and that's the thing when you watch DeForest, not only is he a great athlete and he's got hands and his speed and his power, but he plays hard. And that's something that we were talking about before. You see a lot of big guys that have all this talent. They don't play as hard as they can. It's usually these little guys like, oh, she plays so hard. DeForest Buckner plays really like a little guy, even though he's a big, great athlete. So it's going to be fun to watch him, except for this Friday.
Yeah, I was going to say,
except
fun
for Friday.
to watch him.
Other than Friday, it's fun to watch him.
290 pounds at 6'7", with that kind of length, and he can bull rush you or beat you with speed. What do you do? That's impossible.
What is the kid's name at Baylor? The guy that looks like Adonis. I will give you money. All right, you heard it here for. Anyway. DeForest Buckner will have a better NFL career than him. Sean Oakman.
Heard it here first.
He will have a better career than Sean Oakman will.
Well, with that.
Besides tomorrow.
Adonis. I'm just going to always think of him as Adonis.
Have you seen Sean Oakman? We got to find that. Put that up on the screen.
All right,
wow.
When we come back, it is time for the keys to success. Nigel and Slade weigh in on what Oregon State needs to do to have a chance to pull off the upset come Friday. Coming up on Friday, day after Thanksgiving, the Civil War, Oregon State at Oregon, starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to be a fun day. See, like a shop, you can just watch a great game all day. And we get you started early on game day. That's coming up at noon on Friday before the game. And then the Civil War post-game live right after the game. So before and after, keep it here on Comcast Sportsnet for your Civil War coverage. And here is a picture of Adonis.
That was me in college.
I like the hair.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That is Mr. Sean Oakman.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he spent a few money on those tats, too. But I'm telling you, DeForest Buckner plays harder than he does. He will have a better career.
Wow.
But that guy, yeah.
All right, keys to success. We want to stop Buckner, stop Adams, stop Freeman. Set us up, Nigel. What does Oregon State need to do?
Yeah, Nigel.
I'm sorry, Slade.
She's always thinking about Nigel. I'm just second man here.
Slade.
That didn't sound good either. Just go, Slade. Just go, man.
So first off, we got to limit their explosive
It's hard to have
Oregon's
two husbands
offense
up here.
is so explosive. They lead the Pac-12 with 80 plus 20-yard or more plays. Make them earn their yards. Make them march on the field. Don't make it too easy for them. Second, we've got to score on special teams. When I was playing in 2007, it took us an interception touchdown to tie it back up. We have got to do that. Get touchdowns other places other than our offense. And then lastly, man, our run game. We've got to keep Oregon's offense off the field and give our defense a time to rest. Get them as fresh as we can out there. I want 200-plus yards on the ground for us.
200-plus yards. Wow. All right, Slade, what about you?
Man, you look great today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wear your orange pants.
I need a little more hair. One, I would say you got to make sure, let's try to keep Royce in the garage, okay? Just contain him. You're not going to stop Royce Freeman, but you got to keep him from getting loose. We got some puns going on here in my keys of the game. One, and then number two, don't let VA run the streets. In terms of you can't let him run around in the pocket. You can't let him escape the pocket. You got to keep him contained, keep the trees in front of him, hands up high, and just hope that he has some accuracy issues. And a third is take at least 21 shots. Now, depending upon how this score goes, you might want to take real shots. But more importantly, I want to see shots down the field. I want to see Oregon State just keep taking shot after shot with Villeman, the receiving core, because the Oregon secondary has struggled. I don't care what they're doing lately. They are not great at playing the football. And let's be honest, if you don't get a catch, it's still the Pac-12. You got a great chance of just getting a pass interference call and continuing drives. So continue to take shots down the field. It's going to be a score fest. I don't care how you cut it. So just do everything you can to get some explosive plays.
All right, one quick question. Chances that we will see 3 Oregon State quarterbacks on the field at one time?
At one time, 0. 2 at the same time, I'd say 95%.
Definitely.
You're not going to put 3 because what would be the point of having McMarion and Mitchell on the field at the same time? What would they do?
Confuse.
I'd be. I would absolutely be confused. Like, what the heck are these two guys on the field at the same time for?
It has been a pleasure this season.
Sad it's ending.
Oh my goodness, this Civil War. The orange suit is going away for another season, but not until after Friday.
You're welcome, Nigel.
Oh
and the
boy,
world.
all right. It's been fun. Thank you so much for being with us all season long. And go Beavers in the Civil War come Friday. Good night, everyone. Have a very happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Glad we're ending it on that.
That is burned in my brain.